So in this video I'm going to show you how to set the camera once you've received a brand new camera. Now when you receive it, first thing you need to do is put it on the M here. That makes sense, which is manual mode. Also make sure that the lens here is set on AF, so make sure it's AF. There we go, that's autofocus. Now first thing we'll do is we'll go into the menu here, on the main menu. Now there's different, depending on when you bought the camera, this menu may look slightly different. At the moment it's showing the guided menu. If you go onto this right hand tab here, it will show, like, you can change it to the standard view, which is like the black background. Here we've got the guided view. I used to always show the standard view, but as most cameras now come in guided view when you start it, I'll leave it as this for now. So when you go left and right, you're actually going along the tab set here. So let's start off here with the function settings. So that's everything to do with the camera. That's not to do specifically with taking photos. It's more general settings. Now I've already set the time on here, but when you first switch it on, it will ask you to select the time zone, and you'll see this screen here. Now just go ahead and select it. So what you need to do is you need to select it. It's very hard to see on the screen here. Oops. No, I'll try and get that in focus. Anyway, there's a little yellow square around each setting here, and then you just select it by clicking on it. Little arrows will come and then you go up and down to change it, and that's the same thing for each individual time, date section. So yeah, so just go, oops, need to click OK, and then once you've done all that, just click OK. Now what I am going to do here is click left and right, takes you to the different pages in the menu. So we're on page 1 here. So click 1. What I'm going to do, just for this video, the screen brightness is a little bit too bright for my camera, so I'm just going to reduce it. But normally I would actually increase it. Normally I set my camera on number 6, but you're not going to see anything if I do that. So I'm actually going to reduce it. Oops. And then you can see my menu a little bit better. So what I was saying here is, yeah, that's the menu for the time and date. If you want to get out of, go back one page, you just click on menu again. So you will have to occasionally format the card. If you've got a brand new card, it's a good idea to format it. So you just click on here, click OK. The language, if you need to change that, you can change it. What I normally do is I go into power saving and I set these to 3 minutes, and this will stop the screen from switching itself off really quickly. So when you're taking photos, sometimes you just want to be able to see the screen. The auto switch off is sometimes a bit annoying, so set it all to 3 minutes, then go to and the power echo mode, I put it on off. So screen brightness, like I said, you put it on 6, and I think these are all the settings in the function settings area. Okay, so that's that. So go back onto menu to go back to the main area of the menu, and go to the left. Here's touch screen. So you don't have to press these buttons. You can actually do everything on the screen, but I find it easier using the buttons here. So click OK to go in here. Now here, what I recommend for most iris photos is just leave it, take photos with the JPEG and put them on L for large, and then it's the fine, that like quarter of a circle means it's fine detail, so it's the best quality JPEG. If you're going to take photos more as a professional and want to tweak the photos a bit more, you can take photos with RAW as well. So you can actually just take photos, and that will take a RAW photo and a JPEG, but most of the time JPEG by itself is more than enough. Now, one of the things that the camera does by default is it's constantly searching for the focus point, which makes the camera always make a noise. It's always going and so I switch that off. So this is continuous autofocus, and it's on page 4 or tab 4, and I disable that. In here, just make sure that the flash control is switched on, so that should be like that. It can sometimes be knocked because there's a shortcut here. If you click here, sometimes with your thumb you can press it by mistake. You can actually switch it off. So if it doesn't flash, just double check that. Okay, so that's that. Okay, let's go back out of here. What we're going to do is we're going to change the white balance, and in here we're just going to go and put it on fluorescent white, or white fluorescent light, and that's the one you want, and that will set the color balance. So it's going to make sure that the colors are synchronized with the type of lighting that we've got here with the IrisExplorer. Okay, so that's that. Just checking all the other settings quickly, but they're all good. Yep. Okay, so we can come out of here now, and yeah, just click again. Now we're on the main page. Now, just so that you know, there is what's called a quick menu. You can actually click on here, and there are some other settings you can use for other reasons, but the white balance is the one that I kind of do from here sometimes, but we don't need it at this stage. We've done everything we needed. The only thing we need is the main photograph, or the shooting settings, which is speed and aperture, which is this one here, speed. So you can actually go straight onto the screen, and we set that to 1/80, so it's 1/80th of a second. So that's good. And then here, if the iris is quite dark, you could leave it on 5.6. If it's very dark, you can actually brighten up the image by going and reducing this number. And what that will do is the diaphragm inside the lens, which will let the amount of light in. By reducing that F number, you're actually increasing the light can come through. So anyway, so I put that on 6.3. For most irises, that's good. If the iris is very dark, reduce that number. And then ISO, which is the sensitivity of the camera, and we're going to put that onto 800. I'll make a separate video for the settings related to which type of iris. In some situations you want to tweak that, so have a look at that video if you want, but these are just the setup settings, and 9 times out of 10 these will be good. Okay, so now I would so this camera has a flip out screen, so you can actually pull it out and take a photo by looking at the screen. It will skew your eye a little bit towards the screen, but for testing purposes it's good enough. I'm going to flip it towards you so that you can see. Switch the light on first, on the lighting here. That's the one, the grey button. Now, I did make my screen quite dark, so you're probably not going to see much. Now, I took that photo blind, so it probably wasn't the best alignment, but it's just for testing here. So if you want to look at the photo you've taken, you just press that play button here, and it will show you the image. Okay, so that's a little bit on the dark side, just because my screen is dark, but the image is pretty in focus. And if you want to zoom, you can actually click on this button here, and that will go in, but you can actually just pinch and zoom like that, and you can see. Okay, so it's not too bad for an image that I took blindly. So there you go. So those are the main settings, or all the settings to set up your camera to take iris photos